I'm a multi-millionaire and seven-figure business owner, and this is how I do my year-end review so that next year is my best year yet. And so no matter where you are in your business, the truth is you're never going to get to the level of income, impact, or enjoyment that you want if you don't look back on what's happened, gather the intel, and make an intentional plan moving forward. So, in today's episode, what I'm going to do is simply share with you the 6 things you must do to make massive traction in 2025 and beyond. And be sure to stay to the end where I share the one single phrase that has transformed my business more than any other. So, this is something I call my $1 million year-end review. And people either love year-end reviews or they hate them. I don't know where you are. Maybe you've been doing something like this every end of the year or beginning of the year, and you love intentionality and you have a growth plan and you have a business plan and all these kind of things. Or maybe you've never done this and you're like most entrepreneurs, you're just kind of winging it. And you may not even think about things in terms of year chunks. Maybe you hate the new year and you think it's pointless and it's arbitrary, and it kind of is arbitrary, but it's a fun, simple way to remind ourselves that if we don't plan, we're not going to get where we want to go. And it's hard in the middle of the year, for me at least, to do a lot of this deep work. I'm busy building, creating, being a husband, being a father, traveling. I was launching a book this year, writing, speaking, that I kind of just have to move through things, but I'm moving through the plan that I set the previous year. So when I get to the end of the year, I know I'm in desperate need of making another plan. So what I want to do is just bring you behind the curtain. I'm just going to share with you my year-end review plan. There's 6 things I do. I've been teaching this to my students and my clients for years now. I call it my $1 million year-end review. My hope is that you gain something from this process that you can incorporate into your process, and that at some point between now and the end of the year, today this episode's dropping on Christmas Eve, so you're busy. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Maybe it's already the new year when you're watching this. It doesn't matter, but at some point, put a date on your calendar where you're going to get away, either for the day, like go to a nice hotel lobby like I like to do, go to the beach or a park and get a mobile hotspot or something, or take a night away and do a 24-hour period where you go to a hotel at noon, do noon to noon. Try to check in early, or at least drop off your stuff and work in the lobby until your room is ready, and have that whole afternoon and evening. Wake up in the morning, try to do a late checkout by noon, do noon to noon, get a 24-hour period where you're away from your physical environment where you can do this deep work. I promise you, nothing else you do in your business will have more impact on your income, your reach and expansion of your business, and just your personal enjoyment than doing this year in review. Okay, that being said, I'm just gonna fly through this, okay? So take notes, get ready. I'm gonna share with you the 6 things. And again, stay to the end. I have this one simple phrase that I think if you don't even do the year in review, you could just take this one phrase and ponder it and uncover your next steps for massive growth in your business. I'm not exaggerating, so stay to the end for that. Okay, so step number 1 I do every year is count the fruit. I like the fruit analogy because that's basically what we're in the business of doing, is we plant seeds and we harvest fruit, okay? And I don't like vegetables, so let's use fruit, right? So planting seeds, you're putting content out there in the world, you're building offers, you're building trust with people, you're doing webinars, you're connecting on social, you're networking, you're going to events. These are all seeds that are going in the ground. There's no guarantee that they're gonna reap a harvest, but anytime you plant something, you gain something back in return, and you usually gain more than you planted. One seed becomes an entire fruit tree that has multiple pieces of fruit that have multiple seeds in it. So it's the process of multiplication, but you have to have the courage to put something in the ground, to part with it for a moment, to do the work ahead of time, and then wait for the wind or the rain and the sun to come, and then you can harvest. So I like to, before I jump into next year, I got to look back. And before I even look back at data and analytics and all that stuff, you got to look back and celebrate. You got to look back and say, I planted a lot of seeds this year, the year before, 10 years ago. What kind of fruit did I get this year from it? If you don't start by celebrating, you're going to hate this process. It's going to be laborious and drudgery. This is really a celebration. So start with celebration. So count the fruit. So I'm going to list all the things that I try to count in the count the fruit section. Number 1, I write down, and I write all this down so I see it in my journal. Actual business revenue. How much revenue did you make in the last 12 months? Write it down. Celebrate it. Did you grow by a percent? 5, 10, 20, 60, 100%, right? Actual business revenue, that's fruit. Your personal financial goals that you were able to accomplish because of your business, right? We have a business for a lot of reasons, but one of those is to have a wonderful income for ourselves and for our family. So were you able to buy a car because of your business? Were you able to get a down payment for a house? Were you able to renovate your house? Were you able to pay for private school tuition for your kids? Were you able to just take a nice trip? What did you use your business profit for personally that was a financial goal? Count that as fruit. Any successful product launches. Here's how you define successful. Profitable. If it made money, it was successful. If it made profit, it was successful, okay? So just celebrate any of the launches, even if they weren't as much as you wanted. I have a lot of friends that are like, oh, my Black Friday launch didn't do as well. A lot of people's Black Friday wasn't as great this year. Who cares? Did you make money? Was it profitable? Celebrate it. Any challenges you overcame or solutions to problems you discovered. This is huge. We are all bumping up against problems and challenges in our life and business. Where in your business and life this year did you actually solve a problem, overcome a challenge? That's fruit, right? So write that down. What about any new experiences you had in your business? Did you go to a conference? Did you network with some people? Did you collaborate with someone? I've met so many incredible people this year. So like 2024, real time, I'm like, well, I hung out with John Maxwell multiple times. I met a ton of people at events from masterminds I'm part of, one-off events I went to, guests I had on my podcast that we became friends, and now we've gone back and forth on the phone. I mean, all kinds of cool people I've met, people I'm collaborating with. So new people and new experiences. So new experiences. The second thing was new people who you met that impacted you. So those are related because you might meet people at these experiences. But for you, what are some new people? So write down the names of people that you met this year that have impacted you. It could have, again, just been in one conversation. It could be a mentor. It could be a new friendship. It could be somebody you met at a table at an event. Who are those people? Write their names down. You should probably follow up with those people. Books that you read that affected you in a positive way or a meaningful way. I read a ton of books. You probably read books. Not every book is going to be life-changing, but what are the books that you read this year that you're like, whoa, that really affected me in a profound way? Charities you were able to support through your business profit. One of the number one line items in my business, in Shay and I's personal lives, in fact, it is the number one line item in our budget, is giving to charity. So when we bring profit home from the business, well, two things actually. We give most of our charity directly out of the business, so we never even get a chance to take it, right? So we just use our business as a vehicle for blessing humanity. And so every month when I look at my business profit from the previous month, I get my P&L from my accountants and my bookkeepers. I take a look at it and I'm like, okay, how much profit did the business make? Revenue came in, and then you had expenses, the profit. Then I take a percentage off the top of the profit before I take any money home, before I do any investing, and like it all charity. And I every single month I'm seeing my business make a difference in the outside world that has nothing to do with even the work I do in my business, which I think is already improving the world. So what about you? Charities that you're able to support, celebrate that. What about employees you have or contractors that you were able to provide work for this year? That's a huge thing to celebrate. Whether you have a big team, the biggest team I've had, I think at one point is 7, or you have a small team. Do you have a virtual assistant that your business helps provide work for and therefore income for? Celebrate that. That's awesome. You're not only making a great living for yourself by serving people, you're actually getting to pay people, which is super, super cool. Do you have any even personal contractors to help you out of your home? Do you have a cleaner or a personal assistant at your house or lawn care? These are people these are other businesses that you're able to hire because your business makes money for you to then go hire someone to cut your grass or clean your house or take care of personal things and run errands for you, right? These are all businesses. We're all moving money around. It's beautiful. And then celebrate, finally, the last fruit, any schedule adjustments that you were able to make this year that brought freedom to your work-life balance. Work-life balance is not a myth. It's a real thing. It's something we're always aiming for, is to get that perfect balance between when you're working and when you're not working, because those things should not be blurred. They should be separate things. You work and you rest. That's the way we're designed. And so that's messy. I've had to change my schedule every year since I had kids. different seasons of life, different ages, and even sometimes in the middle of the year, I'll change it. So any adjustments you made that you're like, you know what, that improved our life and our schedule. Celebrate that. That's huge. So that's the number one thing to do. Our first thing to do is count the fruit. This is the most fun you'll ever have because you really get to look back in your year and you might have a feeling of how the year felt, but that feeling is largely irrelevant. The facts are really what matter because you might feel like, oh, it was an exhausting year and it didn't hit what I wanted to hit. But if you look at the fruit, you might be like, well, actually, this was an incredible year when you look at all these things I just wrote down. That changes your perspective on the year, which is really, really important for your mental health and for your sort of planning into next year. So count the fruit, number one. Number two thing I do is I look at the data. You could say look at the analytics, gather intel, whatever phrasing of it makes you excited to do it. I hate analytics. I hate data. I'm not that guy. And maybe I miss out because I'm not more data driven, but it's just not my personality. I get bored real fast when I look at the numbers. I want big overarching numbers. So you could look at all the analytics and go buck wild. Let me just give you the way I think about looking at data in your year in review. I'm an 80-20 guy. So I'm just looking for the 20%. And I do this literally. I have a list of what are my top 20%. So for you, 6 things you need to know your top 20%. What was the top 20% of your offers or products? Meaning, if you have 5 products, what's the one of those products, that's 20%, that generates 80% of the revenue? You probably have 1 or 2 offers that are like the money makers. What are those? What were they this year? What was your top 20% of content? Look at your content. What's the 20% that got the most views and engagement? It's always lopsided, right? Not all of your videos are going to pop. But what are the 20% of your videos? If you did 50, if you did 1 a week, what are the 10 that got the most views and engagement? Write those down. Take note. Your lead magnets. If you're someone that has multiple lead magnets, just look at the 1 or 2 that outperformed every other lead magnet in terms of number of opt-ins it got for your list. You want to know that. Webinar registrations. Which of your webinars, if you've done different webinars with different titles and things like that, and different ways of getting people to the webinar, which one of those got the most registrations? What's the top 20% of your webinars that you did? What about email subject lines? Look back at your emails. What are like the top 20% of the emails that got opened? That tells you about the subject line. What can you learn from that? About maybe the copy process? Maybe you just wrote a better subject line, or what subject lines are interesting to your email list. That's good to know. And then what about your affiliates or partners? If you affiliate promoted with lots of different people, who are your top 20% that led to the most winning for both parties involved? If you promote multiple products as an affiliate, what's the 1 or 2 products that generated the bulk of the revenue, right? So your top 20%, those are the 6 things I look for when it comes to data. The only other data thing I look at is customers. And I'm looking for your 4%, your top 4% of customers. You want to know who your best customers are. And some people don't like that term best customer as associated with money spent. But it really, really is important because money spent doesn't just represent someone who has money. That's not the way to think about it. It represents someone who values what you do so much so they will find the money to work with you. So basically the question, who spent the most money with you? I want to know. If you're a Kajabi user, they finally made this a stat in your analytics dashboard. It shows you your top 5 by default that have spent money with you all time, lifetime value. And I think you might be able to do during certain periods of time. But this year, who spent the most money with you? Who are the top 5 people that spent the most money with you? Reach out to them. Thank them for just being an incredible customer and client, and see how else you can help them, what else they need help with in going into the new year. They would be blown away. Invite them onto a Zoom call for 30 minutes. Just like, hey, I just want to connect with you and just thank you for being a top customer and just find out how else I can serve you this year. And use it as like a chance to blow their minds, love on them, and then ask them good questions so you know what kind of stuff to build for them and people like them, because you're going to want to attract more people like them, because these are the people that have money to spend with you, or more importantly, they value you enough to spend their money with you. And those are the kind of people you want to attract. So that's the second thing I do during my year-end review is I look at the data, I look at the analytics, and I'm really looking for the 20% that generates the 80%, and then your top 4% of customers. Okay, number 3 thing I do is I check in with my 3-year vision. One of the things I teach about in my book, Rebel, is to do your best 3 years of your life. And this is sort of a vision statement. The question is, and I've asked this before on the podcast, if you and I were to meet up 3 years from now and bump into each other at a conference, or you come to one of my events, or you're in one of my communities, or I just see you at a restaurant or a coffee shop here in Tampa or some other city, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're one of my students. You're one of my faithful listeners of the podcast, or you watch my YouTube videos. How the heck are you? And you tell me, Graham, this has been the best 3 years of my life. What would you be telling me about? Business, personal, describe your life and business in detail. That's the question. That's the beginning of the 3-year vision. So most of my clients have done this. And if you haven't, do this now. Because you're going to want to review and check in with your 3-year vision later. So I'm going to talk to you that haven't done this before. Answer that question in detail. Just bullet point out what would have to be true for you to tell me, Graham, it's been the best 3 years of my life. This is you dreaming. This is you thinking past tense about things that you want to be true in the future. This is framing your mind to imagine what could be possible. It may not seem possible, but if you were going to be able to accurately say it's been the best 3 years of your life, this would have to be true for you to say that. So write all that down, journal that out, and then here's 4 questions for you to answer. What are the dangers, internal and external, ahead of you that are in the way of your next 3 years' dreams becoming a reality? Like, you write down this vision, but you look at, okay, there's some things internally that might prohibit me from reaching those dreams. There's some things externally that might prohibit me. Just write those things down. Just become aware of them. Don't obsess over them. Don't give up and be like, oh, I'll never have that vision because of my parents or my kids or my season of life or my husband or where I live or those are excuses. People that make excuses don't get anywhere in life. But you need to be aware. We all have dangers. We all have challenges. No one has everything handed to them on a silver plate. We all have challenges. So you need to be aware of yours externally and internally. The internal ones are the hardest. Flip side, what are the opportunities ahead of you? Like, where are there open doors that you just need to walk through? What about my business needs to change in order to bring that vision closer to reality? A year ago, my vision would have said something very similar to this. Part of my vision is my business is effortless and evergreen, and I can do whatever I want when I want. That's always been part of my vision. But last year, at the end of last year, I had complicated my business model so much. I had hired a bunch of people. We had put a lot of things in place, a lot of systems in place that were designed for scale. But what they did is they removed the flexibility and the effortless nature of the business I had built. And so my vision wasn't lining up with my reality. And I was like, going into this next year, a year ago, going into 2024, I told myself I need to change. So I fired a bunch of people. I stripped things way back. And this has been a rebuilding year, getting back to, this is what my vision is. This is what I've always had, always wanted. I got off course. Something about my business needs to change to get back to that vision. So what needs to be changed to bring my vision closer to reality? And final question, what about my business needs to be amplified in order to bring that vision closer to reality? What about your business actually is working towards your vision, but you need to put more fuel on the fire, more gas on it? Okay? So important. So I want you to make your 3-year vision. And if you have one, review it and ask yourself those questions. Are we in line with that vision? And how can we judge or adjust going into next year to make sure I'm on track with the vision? Because the vision should drive your decision making. Does this make sense? People that get where they want to go, they start with a picture of where they want to go, and then they adjust their life to allow them to get there more effortlessly. It's the people that wonder how did they end up where they are that never had a plan or a vision. So we want to do it in the right order. Okay, that was the third thing. We count the fruit, we look at the data, we check in with your 3-year vision. Number 4 is you create a personal growth plan. There are 6 things I want you to fill in here. Very simple. This one point can completely change your business and life. Okay? If all you did was this one point, this one thing, this could be life-changing. I want you to write at the top of your page, personal growth plan, and then write down coach or coaches I want to hire next year. You could say mentors I want to work with. Some might be free. It might be that old lady at your church. It might be that CEO of a company that you know. It might be that podcaster that you've connected with, but you really learned a lot on that episode. And you're like, hey, I want to be more than friends. Would you be willing to jump on a call with me? It might be hiring an actual coach. Who do you want to speak into your life from a coaching mentorship standpoint? This could be the most important goal you ever set. And you get to decide. It could be one person too. Like, this is the person I want to really be coached by or mentored by in the next year. It could be a few different people for different reasons. I want this person to speak into how I think about marriage, this person to coach me on my finances, and this person in business. So who are the coaches you want to hire? Number 2, conferences you want to attend. Look ahead at next year. What are some events you want to go to? For example, I spoke at Kajabi Hero Live. I've spoken at a bunch of events this last year. And as I was promoting it, people were like, oh my gosh, if I'd known about it, I would love to come. But it's the week before. You can know about it, but you have to look ahead of time. Look ahead of time. Google it. Ask people that are people you respect. What events are you going to? What are you excited about in this next year? Where should I be going? What conferences have made a difference? So what conferences do you want to attend? Number 3, what communities or masterminds do you want to join? Don't just have a coach or a mentor. Be a part of a community. Pick at least one where you are surrounded by other people. You need other people that are at or above your level to speak into your life, but you also need to be an active participant in a community. Very, very important. Okay? Very, very important. So you get to pick and pick wisely. Pick wisely. I've spent a lot of money to be in communities and masterminds that I realize either they are not aligned with my values personally as a human, or the people are all takers and not givers. So I've gone. I have since found much better communities. Very, very important. Number 4, what course or courses do you want to take next year? It's just a simple question. I want to learn this course from this person. I want to take that next year. What books do you want to read next year? Decide how many and decide which ones. And that way you have freedom to not have to read every book that comes across your desk next year. Like, these are the 5 I'm going to read. These are the 10 I'm going to read. Whatever. Just pick a few that are going to be like mentorship through a book, and then just commit to those. And then finally, for your personal growth plan, what is the number 1 skill that you want to acquire next year or sharpen if you've already been working on it? It's the number 1 skill you want to acquire or sharpen. How are you doing so far? All right, we're getting close to wrapping this up. Number 5 thing we do, okay? Write down your goals. Oh, are you a goal person? I am. You know who's not a goal person? Shay Cochran, my wife. She's like, I don't like goals because it's arbitrary, and if you don't hit them, you're like upset. I'm like, I don't think you understand how the mind works. So every year I try to convince her to have goals. Goals are proven to work, but don't be legalistic. The goal is a subconscious deposit that you're telling your body and your mind and your subconscious, I want to get here. And it's somewhere specific I want to go. You don't have a goal. It's like saying, I want to go on vacation. And that's it. Okay, where? The beach, the mountains? Like, what kind of vacation? Just with your family? Like on a cruise where there's lots of people? When? How long? How much do you want to spend? Like, it's just not enough. You'll never take a vacation. You're like, I need a vacation. That's not a goal. A goal is like, I want to take a Haven cruise on Norwegian Cruise Lines and go to the Bahamas and whatever. Like, I want to go to Paris. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I want to do it for a week, and I want to do it with these people, etc. So goals matter because they just paint a picture, and they start to just give your brain something to want to accomplish. And it's amazing how with the reticular activation system, it's that part of the base of your brain, a bunch of cells that basically, when you hear about something, you start to notice it more. So it's like when you get a red car, if you buy a red car, or like, let's be specific, you bought a red Lexus, let's say, all of a sudden now you're noticing red Lexuses all across the road when you drive, and you're like, where did all these red Lexuses come from? They were always there, but you just never paid attention to them because your brain is taking in way too much information every day to process it. So it has to literally block 97% of the information that's coming into our brain so you don't explode. So it's not seeing it. But the moment you tell your brain red Lexus, you'll notice red Lexuses. What's powerful about this process is that when you set a goal, like, I want to reach 7 figures a year in income, your brain starts to notice opportunities and ways that you might be able to do it. But you have to tell your subconscious, I want to go here first, before your brain can start to become aware of opportunities. It doesn't make things happen magically. It just enhances the awareness on people, places, opportunities, strategies that will lead you there. So I'm a big believer in writing down your goals. You don't need a bajillion goals, But here are the three that I would write down for your business. Number one, what is your revenue goal? Annual and monthly. Both are powerful. Annual goals is that big number, like, wow, I created this amount of revenue per year, because everyone's month is different, right? Some people have a lot of income seasonally, and some seasons it's like nothing. So you don't want to beat yourself up if you have low months, and you don't want to like pat yourself on the back too much if you have high months. You really want to see how it shakes out at the end of the year. So I like annual goals. That's one way to measure. But another way to measure is monthly revenue. I really like recurring revenue, predictable revenue. I have an evergreen style business, so I love to see what my monthly revenue is, so you could track that as well. But have annual and monthly revenue goals. Number two, email list growth goal. Okay? Email list is still relevant to this day. It's a number one way to drive sales. So it's a metric you want to track. How many people are coming in every month, but then also what's the size of your email list? And the health of your list, but have an email list growth goal for next year, and then audience growth goal. So however you do content, is it views? Is it subs to your channel? Is it downloads of your podcast? What is it? So have those big goals, revenue, email lists, and audience growth, and then break those goals down into sub goals. So for example, number of new members in my membership, a number of sales of a certain product in my funnel monthly, like you can break those down. Some people like to do daily income, but you know, I like, if you look at a monthly revenue goal, I want to make 40,000 a month. Well, okay, well, what do I have to do in my membership and in this course in my funnel to hit that number? So it kind of creates those sub goals. Make sense? That was number 5. And finally, number 6, and stay to the end because I've got this final phrase that is going to be a shortcut for you that I think you could stew on. That's really, really going to be powerful. Number 6 thing you do, this is next level, is preload your year. Very, very basic. But get out in front of it. Your year's going to be crazy. There's going to be stuff that happens that you weren't expecting. Life is going to get in the way. Business is going to be up and down. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, to think that it's going to be normal is ignorant, right? So what we want to do is go ahead and preload our year. So let's go ahead and do 5 things. Let's block out time off. When are you going to rest? When are you going to take vacations? When are you going to just shut down? I always block off the last 2 weeks of the year. So this video is going out on Christmas Eve, but I'm already out of work this week, next week. Like anytime my kids are out of school, I'm out of work. So they get 2 weeks off for school, so the last 2 weeks of the year. So I always block those off on my calendar. I already know ahead of time when they are next year. I block off spring break. And then in the summer, I don't shut off work completely, but I go ahead and I adjust my schedule. So I'm only really working like a day a week in the summer. And if there's big trips I already know planned, I'll go ahead and put this in the calendar so I know I'm going to not schedule anything during those things. So block off time off for you, including your planning day next year, or even a mid-year planning day, or a planning day every quarter. Block off time. Number 2, what are your quarterly or monthly promotions? Everyone should have a promotional calendar. You should know exactly what you're promoting to your audience when. This does not have to mean a big launch. It just means like, what product or service do you want to highlight? What do you want to bring out to the market that's new? If it's an open, closed product launch, like just those need to be in your calendar already. Just go ahead and put them in your calendar so you work around them. Number 3, what is the known travel that you have? Do you have trips, speaking engagements, events you're going to, family travel? So it doesn't have to necessarily be vacation travel, but go ahead and block that time off in your calendar. Product development. Do you know you're going to be filming a course, launching a new community, developing some thought leadership or framework for a program? Go ahead and put that in your calendar. That's real work. It's like focused work. You need to know that you need to shut things down around those times so you can focus on product development. And then number 5, any live events that you are personally hosting. Do you have a live event for a mastermind that you run? Are you doing a weekend retreat? Do you do meetups for your community? Go ahead and put those things in the calendar now so that you can work around them because they're a priority for you. Okay? And then while you're at it, like preload like your kids' birthdays, your wife's birthday, your anniversary, like your parents' birthdays, holidays. It's crazy how many entrepreneurs don't even know when holidays are coming. They're like, oh, it's Memorial Day? I'm not going to take that off. It's just a Monday. Why would you make, if you worked for you, would you be cool with your boss not letting you take a national holiday off on a Monday when a lot of other people get the day off? No, give yourself the day off, bro. So just go ahead and put all those things in your calendar. You'll be way ahead of it. So in review, 6 things I do. Count the fruit. Celebrate all those things that have happened this year. Look at the data, really the top 20% that's generating 80%. Figure out your growth plan. Check in with your 3-year vision, or create your 3-year vision if you haven't already. Check in with it. Create your personal growth plan. Write down your goals for the year, and then preload your year in your calendar. Now, I hope this is helpful for you. And I'm very curious, if you are watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. Let me know which one of those things you are doing in your year in review process, if you do one, and which one of those things that you aren't doing that you want to incorporate into your year in review. If you already did a year in review, let us know in a comment below. Also, how did it go? What have you found that works well when you do your year in review process? Because I know everyone's got their own way of doing it. The most important thing is that you do it, because it gives you a chance to break away, celebrate, reflect, pay attention to some of the bigger trends that you might have missed when you're too close in the weeds throughout the year. Now you can zoom out for the year. And then more importantly, create a plan for next year. So you as the leader of your company are saying, here's where we're going. Even if the we is just you, here's where I'm going next year. Can't control what's going to happen, but I can control the direction and the momentum and the focus and the priorities going into the new year. So that's what really matters in this process. Now, I wanted to leave this with you because if you're the person that's like, bro, it's Christmas Eve and I'm watching this right now, I ain't got time to do this. And I don't think I'll have any time to do any of this. Let me just give you one sentence, 6 words that I would love for you to just put in your brain and just ponder. This is like my business growth philosophy in one single sentence. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time unpacking it here today, but I'm going to give you a little taste of it. Because I think this will be good to think about over the holidays. And even if you're past the holidays, just stew on it for the next 24 hours. Here's the one phrase that will transform your business. Are you ready for it? Do more of what is working. Do more of what is working. Now, don't laugh. It sounds ridiculous, but there is a ton of wisdom baked into the sentence. First of all, do you even know what is working in your business? Not what used to work, not what you think is working, not what is working for other people or what should be working, air quotes. Do you know what is currently working in your business and life? And related to the life part, what is working doesn't necessarily mean what's putting money in the bank account. Is your schedule working? Is your business model working for you? Do you like how things are going? If it's not working for you, it's not working. What is working? That's a lot of what this year in review process is all about. What is working right now for me, for the business? What's working for your customer experience? Are they liking it? If not, it's not working for them. So the what is working part of it actually takes a lot of intentionality to take a look and to get really, really honest with yourself. What is working? And when you find out what is, just do more of it. 80-20, friend. Find the 20% that's actually working, because most of what we do isn't working, but some of it really is. Eliminate the stuff that isn't. Just double and triple down on the stuff that is. Bro, your business is not only going to grow, you're going to be working less, you're going to be liking what you do more, and you're going to get momentum, which is what everybody needs. We need to catch momentum. So ponder those 6 words this holiday season. Do more of what is working and see what comes up for you. All right. If you are watching this or listening to this anytime around the holidays, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. I hope you spend some time reflecting, some time with family, people you love. And I am so excited for 2025 for you. This is going to be an incredible year. It will be your best year in business if you want it to be. And it's completely up to you. No one else is responsible for the growth of your business, just you. You've got this. I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. And I have some really exciting stuff dropping in the new year that I cannot wait to share with you, that I'll be able to help you and support you in even more deeper ways. So stay tuned for that. For now, though, rest up, enjoy the holidays. We'll talk soon.